Hello, ETF fans. Mike here with today's video insight. A little different screen you're looking at than normal. Today is the second business day of the month, and so today I thought I'd highlight one of our data packs that we produce every month on every single one of our categories, our proprietary categories in the ETF Action database. We have over 110 categories broken up across your major categories like equity, size, and style, regions, countries, sectors, and industries, fixed income categories, high yield, core enhanced, things of that nature. But today I thought I'd focus in on one of our more niche categories, the falls within the thematic composite, sustainability. And I'd walk through kind of the power of these data packs. All the data packs it's an aggregation and averages computed out of the data that's already available to you in our ETF database. So to access the data packs, all you need to do is go to your side panel on the site under Home Office in the categories section. You'll be able to access all of these data packs for every category that we have currently. And as I mentioned, they're updated every month on the second business day to provide all of our users the ability to quickly review a category, all the funds in it, and understand the makeup of the category and the differences of the products inside of it. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look here. I'm currently on the Key Stats tab. So it's the first tab that's produced in the data pack. First thing I want to point out is your category is always going to be up in the top left. The benchmark is put there to let you know how all the risk statistics on the risk tabs are calculated against. So everything is being done against the MSCI ACWI index. Your data will show your as of data. So as of the last day of June, 6/28/2024, how many funds are currently in the category? So there's 37 ETFs that we currently categorize as equity, thematic, sustainability. There's currently $6 billion, just a little over $6 billion in this category. The average expense ratio, so the simple average of these 37 funds is 62 basis points. And the weighted average expense ratio, so the assets times expense ratio, is a little bit lower at 54 basis points. This tab comes pre-populated based on the size of the funds, or pre-sorted based on the size of the funds. So I can see that iClean is the largest fund in the category, and it makes up 36% of the total AUM in the category, followed by Investors TAN at just under $1 billion, 16%, so on and so forth. To the left here, you can also see that we rank all expense ratios by percentile. So I can see that iClean is in the 6th percentile with a 41 basis point. If I wanted to see the cheapest fund in the category, simple enough, smallest to largest. The Carbon Collective Climate Solutions ETF at 35 basis points is currently the cheapest from a pure expense ratio perspective. Keep going over here to the right. We have our trading spreads, very important with ETFs. See, this category trades pretty wide. On average, funds trade at 38 basis points wide from bid-ask spread, whereas the smallest is 5 basis points and the largest is 170 basis points. If I just wanted to see this smallest to largest, I could come in here and see the TCW Transform System ETFs currently has the lowest bid-ask spread ratio out of all the ETFs, followed by iClean. Pretty unique to see this breakdown within a category where a fund that doesn't have as much assets is the trading at the smallest degree. But I think if you were to look under the hood of that fund, what you'll find is it's got a lot more liquid names in it versus many of the strategies in this category that have more smaller cap names, more global names. Keep going across. We'll provide your ADV, your percentage of ADV for every fund, and then your trailing 12-month distribution, which really isn't that important for this category. Kind of moving along here to the second tab, we have our AUM and flows tab. So you can see across the top, there's that $6 billion in the total aggregate AUM, the largest $2.18 billion, the smallest $2.45 million. And then we can see our flows across the board, right? So the total flows for last month was 150 million out, with the largest out being 62 million and the largest in being the Alps Clean Energy ETF with 13 million. And I can keep going across here. We can see this category has seen significant outflows across everything from 1 month, 3 month, year to date, 1 year, 3 year, all the way out to having to get to 5 years before we get to that positive flow value. Note that that 9.6 billion in inflows is far less than in net inflows over 5 years is far less than net asset value, showing what we'll see here on the next page, which is performance, and that the performance across this category has been very difficult over the last few years, right? So in the 1 month, the average return was down 7.59%, but there was one fund up 2.67%. We can take a quick look, largest, smallest value here. The VanEck Environmental Services ETF was the only fund to post a positive return on the 1 month. And then the largest, biggest negative return was the Global X Clean Tech ETF, down 18.69%. So very large divergence of returns in this category. And you'll see if we go out a little longer time frames, that holds across the board. On the 1 year, your top performing ETF is up 31%. Your bottom performing is down 48%. So a 79, almost basically an 80% divergence in return. But on average, across these 37 funds, a simple average of negative 14%. So it's been a tough environment for clean energy companies, sustainability companies in large. You can see that across the 3 year, as well as you have to go all the way out to 5 years before the category has a positive annualized return for the category. I'm going to skip. The risk section is a great section to check out. You'll get all of your risk statistics. One thing I would note out in this category is just on the 3 year, you can see your average standard deviation of 29.52. Extremely volatile category, especially over the last few years. So a lot of volatility within that category. Our derived analytics is going to be a great way to understand how these portfolios are made up and how they're different. So you'll see, everything's going to be an equity asset class, but some are global, some are U.S. You even have some that are purely international, meaning they have very little U.S. exposure. If you work your way across here, they're almost all going to be sector concentrated. There's one or two sector diversified, and there's a couple that actually end up being designated as a pure sector, such as RNRG, which has over 80% utilities, or EVX, which has over 80% industrials. We can go across here, kind of get the makeup between size, everything from small cap to large cap, and everything from growth to value, though you'll note that the most of these funds have a growth style box. And you can work your way across all of the different data points in here, all of our factor ratings across size, growth, value, yield. Excellent way to really profile not only each individual fund, but what is the makeup of that category, right? So if you're looking at clean energy, but you wanted something with cleaner balance sheets, you could go to our derived analytics tab, which is also available in the database itself. But I can see the average for this group is a below average rating of 1.79 on a 5-point scale, with the maximum being at 3.03. And if I come in here and sort on this score, largest to smallest, I can see if I was looking to get some access to this area, but I wanted to have cleaner balance sheets, higher return on equity, lower debt to equity, long-term debt to equity, which is what our quality score is looking at. I can see that the ETEC iShares Breakthrough Environmental Solutions, TCW Transform Systems, Global X Solar ETF. These are the ETFs that have the highest quality ratings, so the cleanest balance sheets across this category. I'll just quickly kind of illustrate now. We've got size and style for every category, the breakdown of that, your sectors. So if I go to my sector tab, I can see, okay, what are my highest average sectors? Industrials has 33% for this sector. There's that 80.82%. We talked about the VanEck Environmental Services being an industrials derived sector allocation. Technology is pretty high at 17.52, but you can see it's all the way from 57% to 0% in that category. So very diverse grouping of ETFs, very different ways of looking at sustainability, clean energy companies across these portfolios. And then we can get all the way into your market breakdown, your region breakdown, your profitability and coverage, as well as valuations, growth, and we even do analyst ratings across the group. So if we look at on average, there's pretty much full coverage of all the companies across all these ETFs average of 16 analysts covering the companies inside of them. By and large, you're looking at majority of buy and overweight ratings, with 16.78% on hold and only 1.84% sold underweight. Looking at the consensus analyst ratings of the underlying securities of every one of these ETFs, and you can see because they've gotten brutalized over the last few years, analyst price targets have remained elevated. So your implied price return, which takes the difference between the actual price of the ETF versus that implied consensus price target of all the underlying companies, you can see it's pretty high, 24.61%. Take that with a grain of salt. Analysts have a tendency to move their ratings pretty quickly, but it gives you a sense of how tough the market it's been for the companies inside of these ETFs. Little longer video insight today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Just wanted to really highlight, since it's the second business day of the month, the power of using our data packs to really isolate and simplify your decision making across all of the different ETF categories in the marketplace to basically align, if you want allocation to a particular category, aligning your macro assumptions, your client needs, your risk appetite with the right products using our vast data sets, cleanly put into a clean data pack on a monthly basis for you across our categories. Thanks for watching today, and have a wonderful day. Thanks.